And we now have the first representative ever to join the Unusual Suspects podcast. He is the representative for Florida's 19th Congressional District. Joining us on the podcast today, Byron Donalds. Sir, thank you so much for making the time and joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you here.
No, I'm excited to be here. How you guys doing?
We're doing wonderful.
Yeah.
Sir, is this your first Turning Point USA AmFest convention, or have you been to them in the past?
No, this is number 3 for me.
This is number 3. Wonderful. Yeah. So let me ask you, did you come last year as Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were in charge?
No, I wasn't able to make it out last year. Hold on, let me
sure.
get set up.
When was the last AmFest that you attended?
It was probably 2 years ago.
Okay, so you came during a Joe Biden Kamala Harris presidency. What is the difference that you can feel in the energy in this convention hall today as opposed to 2 years ago? We now have President-elect Trump taking office in 30 days from now. What is your takeaway from the energy, the vibe here in this convention hall today?
Well, to be honest with you, I just got here. I just got off a plane from D.C.
Wow.
So I'm about to find out.
Felt it yet.
I haven't felt it yet. I'm going to find out. Just landed in from D.C. Obviously, we got through whatever we got through this week. But I know what I'm going to see. A couple of my friends who post a lot were telling me just about the energy in the field. So I guess I hit the stage in a couple hours. We're going to find out. But I fully anticipate it's going to be great. We had a major victory. I don't think people even understand fully the scope of what changed in this country. And I'm quite sure Turning Point's going to reflect that.
What's awesome is that the feeling here is that the job is not done. The 2026 midterms are what we have to focus on now. Trump has been elected. That's awesome. But we need to maintain control. And in order to maintain control, we need to make sure that we keep the seats that we have in the House and the Senate in 2026. Do you believe that Donald Trump and the new administration-elect will be successful when it comes to keeping control in 2026 post-midterms?
Yes, but we have to accomplish the mission. Winning an election is great, but what really matters is actually passing your agenda. And then after you pass your agenda, it's institutionalizing your agenda. You see, the Democrats have been very successful about locking in their agenda around us day after day, decade after decade. And that has to be our mindset. So job one, starting really in a week when we go back to Washington, is we have to start laying the foundation for getting Donald Trump's agenda passed. Then after that, you have to also begin the process of laying the foundation for keeping the House majority and the Senate majority. Now, I believe as long as you get the agenda done, borders secured, economies thriving, get out of these stupid wars, that the American people will actually see promises made, promises kept, but they're also going to see common sense in America again, and we're going to be rewarded for that.
Congressman, thank you for joining us, first of all. What do you think about the bill that was just passed, how Elon and Trump kind of called it out at first, and then they modified the size of the bill, I guess? Are you happy with the final results?
No. Not really.
Yeah.
Look, the first bill that came out was just garbage.
Yeah,
it was a terrible bill. And so I think that, obviously having Elon's voice and obviously the president's voice, them being able to come in and basically explain very quickly to people that this is not the way we're going to do business was incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
I think it forced House leadership to go back to the table and really bring in members to start going through the finer points of what we were going to do. And as the week evolved, you probably got the best thing you could get done at that particular point in time. Now, next year, we can't operate like what's been going on the last couple of months because there's too much on the line. And I know I talked about just like the 3 main pillars of what President Trump wants to accomplish, but there are so many things that have to occur on Capitol Hill. So you're going to have strong negotiations where the agenda is getting done and you're not undoing it, giving out side pieces of crap to the uniparty or to the Democrats or anything like that.
Thank you.
How optimistic are you that President-elect Trump's nominations for his cabinet positions will be successful in being passed?
I'm very confident. Look, we have some senators. I basically look at them and I'm like, I dare you. And that's my attitude. I dare you to vote no. And the reason why is what the president has done in these picks are making sure we have people who are committed to the reform agenda that the American people want. And so I think what happens in the Senate is you have members who, they've been around a couple terms and they're accustomed to a certain style of nominee or a certain background of a nominee or, how somebody feels in the halls of Congress. A lot of this stuff is more feel than it is ability to get the job done. And that's really one of the most unfortunate things about Washington. Mm-hmm. And so I think that with President Trump standing behind his nominees like he's going to do, they're going to be able to get across the line. I don't think you're going to see Republican senators decide that they want to make a name for themselves right at the start.
Amy?
Yeah, I have a question. So Florida has really led the way when it comes to limiting the teachings of things like gender ideology and critical race theory, things like this. What do you think that we can do at a federal level to kind of follow in Florida's footsteps and stop the imposition of many of these ideologies?
Well, first and foremost, I think, when you're talking about ideologies that are damaging to human biology, let's start there.
Yeah.
I think that's stuff where, as a federal government, we have to say very clearly, you're not getting money for that. A lot of stuff gets reformed very quickly when you start taking people's money away. So we're not giving you money for that. And as long as that's the standpoint of the federal government, you'll start to see that stuff move away. I think the other thing is what's already happening with people. Part of this election was a rejection of this radical gender ideology from the left. It was a major rejection. You're starting to see Democrat officials now are trying to hedge their bets or move their position real quick, not understanding that, it's 2024 and we basically know everything you said and everything you voted for. But they're trying to adjust their position because of how out of step with normal people those positions are. So let's say you're in a state with a Democrat governor like, I don't know, Arizona. I don't know where I am. I don't know. But let's say you're in a state like that. They have to be careful about how far they want to push because the voters were sounded this out loud and clear. And I think part of President Trump's coalition was non-traditional Republicans, in part because of radical gender policy. And so I think in blue states in particular, they're going to start following the lead of Florida in part on some of this, because if they don't, man, what's her name? Hobbs? Is that your governor's name out here in Arizona? Yeah, that lady's got to go anyway. But that's how you end up losing a gubernatorial election. But on this point, look, we got to give credit where credit is due. Major respect for Governor DeSantis, because he was the first governor in the country that basically stood firm against this craziness and would not yield to it.
I have a follow-up question. People are describing Mar-a-Lago as the second White House, all right? No, it is. World leaders are traveling to Florida to talk to Donald Trump. We have a tremendous Governor DeSantis. He's done wonders in his home state of Florida. Does Florida have a different weight in D.C. now? Like, is it different? Does it hit different when a Floridian goes there? Because we're leading the conversation in many subjects, like people used to go like Florida man, they used to make fun of us and whatever. Like, is it different now to be the representative from Florida there in D.C.?
Of course. Listen, I mean, the flags that were in our state were Make America Florida. We're not kidding. We're not kidding. Look, Florida is the best run state in the country. Everybody
100%.
knows it.
100%.
Sorry
Arguably the best
Texas,
state.
sorry Tennessee, but we're the best state in the country. And so the model of how we've done things over 3 decades is what the federal government needs. And people forget, Florida used to be a blue state.
Yeah.
It used to
Not
be a
long
blue
ago.
state.
Very purple.
It was a purple state for
Yeah.
quite a while. But what did you have? You had consistent Republican, conservative, common sense leadership. You had, and look, I know some people feel how they want to feel about him now in the party, but when Jeb Bush came along, Jeb Bush was the governor that started the education revolution in trying to get away from big public education and being dominated by the teachers union. You had Rick Scott. When Rick Scott came in, Rick Scott was the governor that started going through the bureaucracy, cutting spending, doing those things. You have Ron DeSantis taking on the gender wars and these other cultural wars which are critical to the foundation of any society. So we've had consistent leadership in our state, and now Florida is the result. So if you're trying to figure out how to do that in Washington, you should kind of bring people in who've done this thing. And the credit is to President Trump and his team. He's not interested in business as usual. He's interested in people who are effective, who are going to get the American people in a place to be successful.
Speaking of education in Florida, what do you think the odds are of abolishing the Department of Education? Because I think that's like probably the most important thing in doing nationwide what was done in Florida. So what would the roadmap be towards abolishing the Department of Education?
I think it's going to be a process.
Yeah.
You know, the one thing that lives forever are federal agencies. it's just the way it is. So I think it's going to be a process. Now, there are some techniques you can do. I'm not going to reveal them now because we got a lot of business we got to get to next year.
Okay.
But there are some things that you can do to begin to move certain programs in a different way to kind of slim down the federal DOE. There's going to be a political question on the Department of Education, and it's really for the entire country. Since its creation, math scores and reading scores for children in our country have decreased.
Right.
So its purpose is to help kids get educated, but kids have fallen behind in America.
Yeah.
So what's its purpose?
Right.
There is a political conversation that needs to occur over the next couple of years about the federal DOE. At the same time, there's some restructuring that needs to occur in there so you could begin that process.
Thank you.
Our time with the congressman is limited. We have to go, sir. This isn't even a question, but
why do you have to go?
You actually have to go. They have you scheduled.
We can stay here if you have to.
This is something selfish. It's not a question, sir, but I was a constituent in your district before I moved to West Palm Beach a year ago. The area that you represent, Naples to Fort Myers, the 19th district, has been decimated by hurricanes. In 2022, you had Ian. In 2024, you had Milton. I have watched that community suffer, and I have watched you, Governor DeSantis, and with the aid of some government agencies come in and help the people of that area. You have helped rebuild. What you guys did by rebuilding the bridge to Sanibel Island, what you guys have done for the people in Matlacha, what you guys have done for the area of Southwest Florida, you have given hope to these people. And from the bottom of my heart, for my neighbors, for my friends, for my family, thank you. Thank you for representing us in Congress and representing us in D.C. and making sure that we got the emergency federal aid that we needed to help rebuild that area, because Southwest Florida is a slice of heaven that if you haven't been there and you haven't experienced it, you won't understand it. But now you can go and take the trip and make the time to go and invest in the time and in the community because of people like you. From the bottom of my heart, God bless you. Thank you, sir, for everything you've done. Ladies and gentlemen, Congressman Byron Donalds from the 19th District of Florida. Thank you, sir, so much for what you've done for the United States of America. And to everybody at home watching, thank you for joining us. Thank you to Kelly, Malik, Mike, Humberto, Amy, Brandon, Benny Johnson, everybody that's joined us, Tony, our booker, and above all else, Charlie Kirk, Turning Point USA. God bless America. God bless all of you. And we will see you again on another episode of The Unusual Suspects. Take care,
Thank you, everybody.
Take it easy, guys.
So if you like this clip, click right here. And if you want to see more like it, click right here. Stay angry, Patriots.